All right, it's 49er week. It is Thursday Night Football, and so we're here early, a Tuesday edition of Between the Horns presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm JB along with my longtime best friend, DeMarco Farr.
Hey, yes, sir.
And my new sworn enemy who I will not speak to during this entire show.
Oh, that's right.
Stu Jackson.
Oh, my goodness.
He's dead to me.
Talk your trash, Stu. Come on.
Man. Oh, Indiana, Notre Dame in the college football.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I love Stu.
Sorry,
He's my
short
guy.
week. I'm
bro.
so
Yeah, he's not used to this, JB.
Yeah, this is brand new
Did your heart
territory
skip
for
a
me.
beat? Did you feel
Yeah,
like,
well, I
okay.
was just trying to figure out. I'm like,
Come
what could I
on.
possibly miss? Like, oh, that's right.
Welcome to the party. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now until
December
next
20th.
Friday night. Yeah.
That's right.
I love it.
You want to go?
Why not? Let's do it.
You and me on the way to, what, the Meadowlands?
Yes.
That'd be perfect.
Just make a stop in Chicago, drive to South
Why
Bend.
didn't we think of that sooner? I'm going to check the weather first before I make good on that invitation, but let's talk after the show, even though we're not talking. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
It's
Psyched.
good stuff, right?
Yeah, psyched. Still buzzing off Sunday and trying to get your mind right for Thursday. It is 49er week, like you said. It's a lot at stake. Always when you play that team up north, it's always going to be something, knockdown, drag out. But, I mean, it just seems like this one has a little bit more spice in it than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to spend a lot of time on the 49ers, of course. This is a preview edition of Week 15. We're going to go inside the race for the division, the NFC West. We're down to the final 4 games. We'll look at remaining schedules, who's got the best path. But that game was so good on Sunday that I think we'll devote a significant portion looking back to Buffalo. Not to bask in the win necessarily, but to figure out what
Why
to
not?
take from it.
Why not bask in the win?
Okay, all right. Well, then to bask in the win. Let's
just
bathe
for a
in
minute.
it.
I mean, it's a short week. That's the worst thing about a short week is we don't get to bask in that because you just beat arguably the best team in the NFL.
So I texted you
Yeah.
guys this morning to that point. Like, there was so much good data to come out of that. Like, what was your favorite stat, nugget, pull through? Where does your mind go?
Well, mine's going to be very simple, but I went to the 137 rushing yards, net rushing yards the Rams had. 156 in Week 13 against the Saints, 137 against the Bills. You've seen the success the run game's had and what that's meant for play action and just this offense as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, simple, but to me, effective and tells part of the story with why this offense has been clicking the last couple
No
weeks.
doubt. There's 9 guys in the NFL right now that have 1,000 rushing yards, and Kyren's one of them. And he's got 12 rushing touchdowns. That's all. Anytime you run the ball, great. But from that game, my favorite stat is a donut, a 0. 0 sacks allowed. I mean, you could say that on both sides. Both quarterbacks were fantastic. But for this line, this quarterback, this system, to give up no sacks, and I think it was just 3 hurries, that's a great job by the O-line. Great job by Matthew Stafford keeping yourself upright and protecting yourself, but great job by the O-line going nose to nose with a pretty good Buffalo defense and coming away with 0 sacks allowed. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's no bad choices here. I went 11 for 15 on third down, the highest conversion rate of the Sean McVay era. The Rams had really been struggling in that regard. And even on their first possession, right? Like, the Bills win the coin toss, elect to defer. I'm saying great because there's only one path to victory here. It's to win from in front. But if you don't convert that first third down, we're probably not sitting here even starting with this conversation.
This is true. Yeah. I think the other best stat is 44.
Tell us more.
That's the points.
Season
That's the
high.
only stat that matters, right? Yeah, 44 points.
I'm looking at my phone to make sure that I can share our production staff's pick for this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because Rudy and Bing and Farr and Tim, they do such a great job. I want to give them a voice here. They went with teams with at least 6 touchdowns and 0 giveaways in a game where 245-0 in the Super Bowl era before Week 14 at SoFi.
No way.
And the
wow.
Rams beat the Buffalo Bills.
Historic.
How about that?
Yeah, historic. Unreal. I love the way Coach McVay put it. That guy was an alien, and he was unreal, and you outlasted him and you beat him. So that's got to give you a lift going into Thursday.
All right, let's play fill in the blank. If I said a sentence something to the effect of, now that you know the 2024 Rams offense can do that, finish that sentence.
Score 44 points.
Yeah, now that you know. Now that you know the offense can do that.
Let me see. Protect like that, I'll keep going back to that, is if you can keep Stafford that available in pretty much every passing rep, then, who stops you? If Puka Nacua can be, that dominant in the open field versus some good corners, then who stops you? If you can run the football in that situation, then who stops you? So If you can protect like that, then the Rams have a shot to be one of the more dangerous teams down the stretch.
I'll borrow from a piece of that, and I'll say if they can run the ball like that, I mean, that, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, the way that opened things up in the play action and just the numbers you see with how lethal Matthew has been, when he's been able to work with that, and obviously McVay, of course, from a play calling standpoint, I mean, that's huge. That helps with the protection and, keeps them ahead of the sticks. Goes back to the third down conversion rate.
Sure.
Wasn't the most efficient day last week, obviously, but they ran the ball and were productive enough where it was enough to keep the Bills honest and open up that play action.
I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Call it.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think fans of this show might remember me saying in previous weeks that what I liked about where the Rams were at this stage of the season is the defense had set a foundation and a floor with the way they were playing. We just didn't know where the offense was building the ceiling, the roof. I'm going to adjust that a little bit. I think the floor is probably a little bit lower now than it was a month ago. The defense has some flaws. They've come to the surface. But thankfully, that performance on Sunday makes me believe that the 24 Rams ultimately have become the team we thought they could be way back this summer, which is an offensive-driven team. Because in the end, I think this team goes as far as Matthew Stafford takes them. I believe that in my bones, and I think when the pass rush for the Rams is not terminating, there's some deficiencies behind it in the second and third levels of the defense.
If you weren't facing a Martian, that's at least 7 sacks. I mean, you got to him. You touched him on either solo rushes, one-on-one guys, or you got guys that got home. You just couldn't get them on the ground. So I'm convinced that effort would stop most offenses. It just didn't stop him. So I wouldn't say they had a bad day. I would just say the guy had a great day. But I thought you were going to say end arounds. That's what I thought you were going to say. That if they can do that, then so be it, because we've been begging for end arounds. Yeah.
I'm going to get to McVay in just a second. That's part of my McVay monologue. Yeah. It's coming. But the reason I bring up the defense is because you look at what's left.
Yeah.
Purdy and the Niners, top 10 offense. And I think they're finding their best stride right now. Say what you will about the Jets. I know they've been a disaster. But if you get Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams on the field at the same time, you're going to have your hands full. Kyler and the Cardinals still a top 10 offense. And then did you see what Charbonnet and the Seahawks did last week? Like, again, there is no easy week at the office, especially not on defense the rest of the way. So I feel like while you don't need to score 44 per game, you need more of that than what we saw in the front half of this schedule offense.
Yeah, that was a buzzkill. There goes Buffalo right there. But no, I mean, San Francisco, this offense this week, their timing, their precision, I mean, it doesn't get any easier, and they can score on you. So you don't get the rest just because you beat Buffalo. You have to even take it up a notch. But I agree with you 100%. This should be an offensive-led football team, and if the offense can score points, and let me add, if you can continue to rush the passer like you are, if you can continue to win your one-on-ones and create those matchups, then you have a shot to be, I guess, reach your potential as a 2024 Rams team.
The other thing about the San Francisco offense, too, is they've been able to produce in this way despite not having Brandon Ayuk, season-ending knee injury in Week 7, down Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason in the last game, and Debo not producing at the level that most people, I would say, are accustomed to. I mean, with what Kittle and Juwan Jennings did last week, I mean, they've been, still able to have some pretty good performances here.
Oh, we know Jennings.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Talk Radio.
Oh, whatever.
Well, I know that you've been battling. You've been fighting the good fight. Now that Sean McVay still got it, and we know that he still got it, how was your Monday, Tuesday show?
Okay, so this was the funny one today. They thought that Sean McVay had unveiled some new playbook. I don't think it's a new playbook. I think they're executing better and they're getting better protection. So it looks like there's a different offense. But some of their points, they're valid. We said this on game day. When Tutu's out there, it seems like good things happen. Demarcus Robinson's having a great year. It's not just Puka and Cooper Kupp. There's a lot of guys having a great year. But when you get that protection up front and you're blocking the run well, you have the benefit of play action. It looks like magic or looks like something new, but it's the same plays. They're just being run better.
Yeah, but when's the last time you saw 10 personnel? When's the last time you saw quads?
In a long time.
How about the stroke of genius that we're going to put the jet sweep on ice for about a month just so we can break it out with Puka against the Buffalo Bills?
And save it. Yes, it worked. Absolutely worked.
Or to Stu's point, 12 more runs than passes?
Yeah.
Come on. Come on, that was the good stuff right there.
See, that's the stuff where, like, you think that Sean McVay is just all passing. He's not. He likes to run the football. You just have to be effective doing it. So I think they're having success, which opens everything up. But, okay, 10 personnel. You're right.
He is a great volume shooter, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he can be efficient, too, but Sean is at his best when you can get that play count up. He solves the puzzle, and then he just continues to twist the knife.
He was in his bag.
Yep.
You have to give him a lot of credit.
And even not just in that moment in time, but again, let's appreciate this for what it is, because we talked about it last week too. He got in front of a 1-4 team and kept them bought in and believing and dragged them all the way back to 6-6, and now for the first time above 500.
I mean, you were there. He talked about it on the coach's show, how he had to get not more involved, but just he was present in every drill and every meeting. And I keep telling you guys, man, when your head coach shows up in your meeting room and he's not normally there, that changes you. That changes your attitude. That changes everything. When he's coaching his butt off, you have no choice but to play your butt off. So it's buy-in on every level, from the coaches on down, and I think that's what this streak has been about.
You know who else still has it? QB1.
Oh, yeah. Did you doubt it?
It's more just, I think you were right to say last week, and you can articulate this better than I recap your thought, but for the Rams to finish this, to climb the mountain and get to the finish line, he's got to be better than what? Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, A-Rod, Kyler, Geno?
Yeah.
1 down, 4 to go.
Yeah, he just had to be better. Like going back to New Orleans, that when they had the ball for 1 minute, 2 seconds in the first quarter. One, that's a defensive issue. You can't let New Orleans drag you for an entire quarter. You got to get off the field. But secondly, if he's a little more accurate on that first drive, they're still on the field and we're not talking about this. So I think that had been a little bit of an issue, but he straightened it out versus Buffalo when it mattered most. So that guy, that number 9 is what you need from here on out if you want to be a playoff or a division winner.
I think a big piece to that, too, has been, like we've talked about a lot already, just the protection and especially that continuity up front, just having that same starting 5 on the offensive line. I mean, to me, it's no coincidence that some of the best numbers that he's put up over the last 2 games, really over the last 4 games, have been just the health of that group and the fact that he's had, especially the last 2 games, the same 5 to work with and not having to worry about many moving parts in that group.
That's why I give Kyren some dab. 1,000 yards, and this is what your 5th line that you had to work with?
At least.
Yeah. And you're still churning out some yards, so that has to affect running game and passing game, but here we are at 7-6.
Stu, you know where I see your point is in the different ways that Matthew is willing and thriving and being able to play. I still don't think his favorite thing to do is to step under center and turn his back to the line of scrimmage and play action, but you look at his numbers, he's balling in that regard. And yet there were moments in that game against Buffalo where he kind of got back to playing Madden. They went to empty. His numbers in empty last week, 7 for 7, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Not bad, right?
No, that's pretty darn good.
We don't want him to fall in love with that, right? There's some peril there, especially going to San Francisco. We'll see what the weather has to do. But knowing that you can win that way and that you can get under center and pound the rock with that offensive line back intact, it's not lost on me that Puka and Cooper were inactive the last time they played these 49ers. Like, those are all good things. All right, at least one more game for you here before we get on to the 49ers.
And I don't mind him falling in love with great stats. I really don't. Yeah.
Matthew?
If it's working, fall in love with it. Let's go that. Yeah.
All right, fill in this blank for me. Puka is a top what receiver in the National Football League as of this moment?
I'm going to let you go first. Yeah.
Top
right.
what? Stu?
Yeah.
I'm going to say a top 5.
That's where I am.
Top 5 receiver? Is that what you meant? Is he a top 5 guy? Oh, yeah.
Or like, where do you draw the line?
I was going to say
he's top. Is he top 3? Is he all pro? Is he Pro Bowl?
This is funny. I was going to say top 1 of 1 guy, and we had this little mini discussion. I think he is a better receiving version of a Deebo Samuel. He's a bigger physical guy. Now, you can't put him in the dot and have him take carries like Deebo, but I don't think Deebo runs routes like Puka. But they're both big, physical. They factor in the run game, and he runs great routes, and he makes great catches. So I think he's one of the best 1 of 1 guys that you have in the NFL. I think the only thing that might be missing is the explosives to take the top off the defense, but he flat kills you from the middle of the field out. So, I mean, how do you guard that? And if he catches it and turns north and south and you're a small corner like Stu, you got problems. Yeah.
I mean, there's still that short list. What you just referenced, the Chases, the Jeffersons, the CDs, the AJs. But after that, I'm going to have the argument.
No doubt.
So that's why I'm saying 5 like Stu, I think, is a pretty good place to draw the line the way he's playing right now because of all the things he can do.
He's got top 3 hair, though. Top 1 hair.
Yeah. That's undisputed.
Yeah.
I also want to talk Cooper Kupp here.
Yeah.
Because I think in the same breath that we admire where Puka has taken his game to in year 2, I don't want to get lost in the moment and miss vintage Cooper Kupp days like last Sunday at SoFi Stadium.
I made a movie about him. Toy Story. He's Woody right now. Yeah. Buzz Lightyear is balling, but Woody's still your guy. Yeah.
So you got a better depth of history in this game than I do. Larry Fitzgerald is the name that's kind of percolating right now.
Whoa, really?
In terms of the way he reinvented himself is too strong, but you know how he matured, found new wrinkles.
Yeah.
Extended his career.
Settled into a role. Yeah. I mean, you would think it's a lesser role. Like if Puka is number 1, that means Cooper is number 2, but it's almost picking your spots to kill you faster. So if you're having or focusing a lot of your attention on Puka Nacua, which is probably what's going to happen from here on out, then that means Cooper is singled up. And if you think he's lost a step, you've got issues. Well, that's the same stuff we just said about him, we could say about Cooper Kupp.
That's why I was careful to mention it now, because he's coming off a game in which the Rams used him to attack Buffalo vertically, right? They got after it through the air with Cooper Kupp. And then they said, hey, can you make Von Miller disappear in your spare time? Can you get the kick-out block on the game-clinching touchdown that we throw to Puka? Letter perfect. Do you know that Cooper Kupp has run almost 1.5 miles in pre-snap motion this year? At age 31, they're making him get cardio in for pre-snap reads. And he's doing it as well as ever. I don't know. My appreciation for him continues to grow.
I mean, he's one of the smartest receivers in the National Football League. To me, if you're singling him up, he's going to find a way to make you pay. And so, good to have somebody like that out there catching passes from Matthew Stafford.
I just love it. Okay, so put your second best corner on Cooper Kupp. See what happens.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah.
And your third on DeMarcus and your fourth on Tutu.
Good luck with that.
Let's ride.
Yeah.
Don't want to look over the Rams special teams being on a 2-game winning streak. As much as anything, that's why the Rams are sitting here at 7-6, is because 2 games in a row they've been better than their opponent in the third phase. Let's keep that streak alive.
The block was unreal. Asked Hummel about that, and the stunt to get him free, they designed it. It worked like a charm. And I said that's half of it. When he took the ball off the punter's foot, do you know how hard that is to do, to block it that perfect with one hand, to take it right off his foot and send it backwards? I mean, most guys miss in that. They panic and miss or rough the guy. Great block, and even better job by Hunter Long scooping that thing and scoring. He almost kicked it, didn't he?
I was just about to say.
Right, but settling yourself to scoop and score, I mean, to me, that was the biggest play of the game.
And, I mean, special teams has been huge for this team when, talking about complementary performances, as much as, we've seen the offense and defense support each other and some of the, critical wins that this team has gotten this season. What's really made a difference is when special teams has been able to come through and make plays like that, even if the blocks or whatever it may be don't result in touchdowns. But that obviously any made field goals, those have all been huge.
And we see you, Weddington. That's it. You're that close.
That's right. Kickoff returns.
Yep. You're that close to taking one.
I was surprised that Buffalo dared him to bring it out after what he put on tape with that kick return unit in New Orleans. But he got more opportunities last week.
Yeah, that might be your last. I mean, I wouldn't want to give him an opportunity. That dude hit the gas on that first one, right? And almost took one to the house. If he keeps his feet, he is gone. But I think at this point, you're going to respect him a little bit and make him down it. You're going to have to. I mean, at some point, watch. I think he may wind up taking one back for not the distance, or at least have a big return that flips field position like that. And it could happen on Thursday.
All right. Last thing on Buffalo, and then we're going to get to the division and the San Francisco 49ers. But one of my lasting takeaways, those Grinch green cleats that Josh Allen was wearing in the game? My lasting visual is him lifting that cleat to call for a silent count snap. Here's where I'm going. 2 road games followed by 2 gotta-have-it home games. And so my appeal to our audience here is, if you are of means and if you love the Rams, can you please be there week 17 and week 18 at SoFi Stadium? Because what does it mean in terms of that silent count environment? What if you are one of the reasons the Rams are able to win this NFC West and host, let's just say, the Green Bay Packers in a playoff game in January? That's the opportunity in front of you, Rams fans. Let me encourage you to do it.
How do I say this? So Jared Verse and Braden Fisk are having great rookie seasons, right? Imagine how much better they would be if there was crowd noise, lots of it, where you couldn't hear. I don't think you'd block them. Think about that. You want to make the playoffs? Show up at SoFi and help out. Verse he'll pay you back with a sack or two.
Well, when other teams, when the opponent gives him motivation, it already takes his game up another level. Just think of the Vikings game and the skull chant that happened while a teammate was down the field injured. Imagine if he had like if he got support from the crowd, or if it was like crowd noise that really fired him up and added to that.
God.
Like,
wow. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, real Rams fans, let's be there. Yes, sir.
To the division. What a finish. What a setup by the league schedule makers. Seahawks on top at 8-5, followed by the Rams at 7-6, Niners and Cardinals sitting at 6-7.
There you go.
Stu, you want to take the baton here? You want to lay this out? I know you were studying a little bit before our show. What do you make of the state of the NFC West as we hit the final month?
It's there for the taking for anybody at this point. Still as wide open as it's been. And, I mean, those last 4 weeks, I will say this, just looking ahead to some of the other divisional opponents and, who they have left, it makes me glad that we got the NFC North out of the way.
Oh, interesting.
Because just seeing, I want to say it's Seattle that still has Green Bay and Minnesota left over the next
Green Bay,
month.
Minnesota at Chicago before the finale at SoFi.
Yeah, so, and knowing how tough that division has been, I'm very thankful that that's out of the way. So, up for grabs, and there's kind of like we were talking about earlier. I mean, there's implications here that you win Thursday, you're in position to potentially get the 3 seed or the 4 seed, depending on what happens this weekend, and be firmly in the playoff seating here.
Wow, I'm only thinking of one team now.
I knew I wouldn't be able to get you past Thursday
just
night.
one
and that's for the
team
best.
right now.
But,
I mean, look.
How about this?
Yeah.
How much more would you like to watch Red Zone and Sunday Night Football this weekend, coming off a win over the 49ers?
Oh God, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what we're darn near praying for. But I mean, you got to get by this football team. This is it would be a big psychological jump for you if you can get past San Fran, and then you bootstrap that to what you did versus Buffalo. Come on, I mean, you're flying high. And not only that, you send the message to Arizona, to Seattle, that this is a different team than what you saw the first time. So yeah, I mean, you get past San Fran. More people will be talking about you. Then you get their best shot. And like we said, if any team in the NFC West is playing at their best outside of San Fran when they're healthy, I still think you have the best quarterback and the best roster. So if you're playing your best, the best should win that game. So get past San Fran, and like I said, we'll see what happens after.
Just to tie it back to last week's show, what we said is that beating Buffalo is not the game the Rams had to have. Beating Buffalo gave the Rams margin for error. They earned themselves the mulligan, to use my favorite sport, golf, as the analogy. But when I play, you can't take a mulligan to the 18th tee. You got to use it, but you can't use it on 18. The 18th is Seattle. You got to win that one.
Yeah.
That's the one you got to win. As long as you do that, you can afford to lose exactly as many games as the Seahawks between now and then and be NFC West champions.
And I like the fact they have to come here. I love the fact that they have to come down here. Yes.
All right. Winning the West is the goal. Mm-hmm. But I also want to focus on this moment. I know we all do. I wait for this all year. Don't you?
What, going to San Fran?
When the schedule is announced in early May and you see Week 15 Thursday Night Football in San Jose, Santa Clara, doesn't that keep you up all night?
Yes. Anytime. But yes, especially this year's schedule, seeing where they put this game. Yeah, it did raise an eyebrow, but it is what it is. They're coming off a short week too, so let's just get after it. It's another matchup between us and them, and I can't wait to get to it.
Well, and especially last season too. I mean, it feels like it's at least the second straight year that the second matchup between these two teams has had some sort of meaningful implication in December or January, which is awesome. Mm-hmm.
The only thing I dislike about the week is that there are not enough days between Buffalo and the flight to study the game, to prepare for it,
Right.
to talk about it. Because, again, making the playoffs is the ultimate goal. But let's call it what it is. Beating the Niners and sweeping them for the first time since 2018, that guarantees you a good offseason. It guarantees it. Eliminating your bitter rival as a stepping stone potentially to winning your division,
I'm trying not to smile, man.
I'm not sure anything shy of like an NFC championship is going to hold a candle to that. That's the opportunity in front of the Los Angeles Rams this week.
No doubt. The goal is Lombardi, and to get there, you got to beat them. And to, like you said, to sweep them would be absolutely sweet, because who knows? I mean, their window, everybody's window is closing. Who knows what that does to them, which is awesome.
Am I the only one that feels that way, though? Like, the schedule comes out, and they're like, okay, what game are you looking forward to most this year? Without even pausing. Week 3, San Francisco at SoFi. Okay, what's your second favorite game? Week 15, Thursday Night Football at Levi's.
No doubt. Yep.
Here comes part 2. I'll say this, though. Expect the reigning NFC champions on Thursday. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, you're going to get their best shot.
Did you watch
Yeah.
Chicago yet?
Yeah. You're going to get their best shot, and they're starting to click again. And I don't like the fact that Deebo Samuel is starting to pop off now. Really? So he's going to get fed come Thursday, which is the last thing you want to see.
Is that how you make him getting community noted?
Absolutely. Yeah. When he starts chirping, that means he gets the rock the next game out. So that means us. So let's have fun.
That's like the Marvin Harrison Cardinals Week 2
That's it.
version of the San Francisco 49ers.
I wish he would have waited another week, but so be it.
I'll say this. Talanoa Hufunga's back.
Yeah.
That's huge. I'm expecting Trent Williams and Bosa and Greenlaw and Garendo. They're all going to play until proven otherwise. Brandon Ayuk might go. I'm keeping Christian McCaffrey on my board.
What? You're expecting everybody. I like it.
Jerry Rice might make a cameo.
Oh, come on.
But in all seriousness, no, I watched Niners-Bears this morning, and it sent a cold shiver down my spine. It really did, because you know what really is back? Their screen game.
Their
yards after catch.
Yes.
George Kittle.
That was ridiculous.
1 week after whatever that was in Buffalo that we watched on the plane coming home from New Orleans, that team last week, albeit against the Bears, looked like the reigning NFC champions.
Kittle is ridiculous what they can do with him, but just that production and their precision, you can tell they don't waste time at practice. They're very efficient at what they do, and it transfers to game day. I don't know what was more impressive, watching their offense or their pass rush, watching Bosa get after you. Just watching tape of him is freaking scary, to be honest. But yeah, this, like you said, you should expect the best 49er squad that you've seen all year. And I think they should expect the best Ram squad they've seen all year. So this is going to be a great Thursday nighter.
And your old friend Leonard Floyd, too.
Man, you can't count him out. That dude is like, he's the best cleanup hitter I think I've seen in a long time, where he just knows where to be and where to stand, and also can beat you one-on-one. So yeah, both sides, both tackles have their hands full this week.
There's that Juwan Jennings problem, too, going back to week 3. I mean, they made him look like Ayuk, as I recall, at SoFi Stadium. He had another great game against the Bears, Stu.
Yeah, 7 catches for 90 yards and a pair of touchdowns. And, yeah, it immediately got flashbacks to the first matchup between these two teams and the production he had. And so, yeah, he's still very much a real threat, and he feels like he's stepped up even with Ayuk being out with that knee injury. And I'm hoping that, obviously it's a little bit, different this time. Hopefully there's been some lessons learned from, that previous matchup in terms of finding ways to defend him. Hopefully having Darius Williams in this matchup will help a lot more, given some of the ways they were having to defend him.
Yeah, good point. So. Okay, so he was on injured reserve in the first month of the season. That brings me to this week's injury report. And I know there's more mystery than clarity here as we gather on this Tuesday. We won't hear from Sean McVay again until post-game.
Correct.
At Levi's. So what do we know about, anyone from, say, Kobe Durant to Tyler Higbee and the chances that we could see the Rams at full strength Thursday?
Yeah, so those are two of the main ones. Higbee, we'll see, is what Sean McVay said as far as his availability for this week. Last week he was pretty clear that, look, for however Higbee has looked in, clips and whatever that's been out there from practice, they've still wanted to take their time with him. And as the three of us know, this training staff and this coaching staff are always big on return to play versus return to performance. Return to performance is always the standard for finally putting someone back out there. So we'll see if that's this week. Obviously, it'd be good to have him if he's available, but if not, you're going to be looking at asking more from, obviously, as you have already, Colby Parkinson, Hunter Long, and Davis Allen. And then with Kobe Durant, one contusion from the Bills game, and so his status is still to be determined for Thursday. Was interesting that McVay mentioned that depending on Kobe's availability, that could potentially impact Emmanuel Forbes and his status, or I should say him potentially making his Rams debut as soon as this Thursday. So we'll see how that shakes out.
At least we know what it looks like without Tyler Higbee because of the unfortunately large sample size so far this season. But DeMarco, what if Durant can't go? Because I think he's become the Rams' best corner. He's put together some really nice performances, especially in light of this style offense you're about to face. How does that impact what you're going to do if you're Chris Shula?
I feel bad for him because I think he's having a great season, and he's been a lot tougher against the run than he has been in seasons past. But you do have some options behind. You still have Kello Witherspoon. You just added Forbes. So there's some other guys that can step in for you. But just as far as how he was playing with Darius Williams, you hate it that Kobe Durant got hurt for this one, and I hope he plays. But if he doesn't, you have some guys that have played this year, and you have, like you said, a former first rounder you just picked up to go out there and cover and play. But if you're Chris Shula, I don't think you change anything. I think you keep your foot on the gas and you call what you've been calling, and it's been working. The communication in the back end has been great. Safety to corner to linebacker to defensive front has been exemplary. They haven't made a ton of mistakes. So I don't think this changes Chris Shula at all if you have to lose one of your corners.
What about keys to victory then? To beat the San Francisco 49ers, to extend the winning streak, to continue to control your NFC West destiny?
Well, because I've been talking about running the ball so much already, I'll just go with that. Only because, you look back at those games against Buffalo and Green Bay that San Francisco had. Again, health, I would say, was a factor in that in part. But the way the Packers ran the ball against the Niners, the way the Bills ran the ball against the Niners, again, the Niners run defense was impacted in part by not having a fully healthy group, but that was one of the ways that those two teams were able to separate from San Francisco in those matchups. Beyond that, to me, if you can keep that momentum going from these last 2 weeks, kind of like I talked about earlier, with just again having those play action opportunities and keeping that pressure off of Stafford, being efficient in the early downs to get those third down conversions or make those more manageable, it starts with that for me.
I think this is where we start talking about off-ball linebacker again, because of what they do, and they're so good at negating your front. Even when Aaron was here, when they ran the football, it almost negated his ability. So this is a linebacking game. So I would say keys to victory for me: if Spates and Roseboom are your leading tacklers, I think you're doing pretty good. If safeties are your leading tacklers, I think you might have some issues. So those two guys, and like you said, the screen game, it's going to be ultra important for them to read, diagnose, and then get to the ball. And that's just half of it. Now you got to get them on the ground. So those two off-ball guys, I think will tell the story of this game.
So I'm going to ask you to give us defending screen game coaching points here in a second. I'll give you mine. It's Quentin Lake. If for some reason Durant can't go, I think this is where having a chess piece like Captain Q who can play in the slot if need be, who can let you leverage your safety depth and clarity maybe to your advantage in a game like this, who can combat a George Kittle, who can hopefully diagnose and defend screen. I think he might be my most important player on Thursday Night Football. But let's go back to that. If you're coaching this front on screen defense against the 49ers, who can throw it to their receivers, they can throw it to their backs, including Juszczyk. I saw a lot of tight end delay stuff, like Kittle just lingering around the line of scrimmage, coming free with blockers.
Yeah. Read and react. You got to read your keys, and you got to have help from inside out. So as the front, and it was told to me when I was a youngster, and I'm sure they're telling Verse and Fisk and all the guys, even Kobe Turner, if you're free in this league up front, you're free for a reason. So if you think it was too easy to get to Brock Purdy, it probably was. Turn around and redirect and get back into pursuit, because it's probably going to be a screen. So those guys, those off-ball guys, and Quentin Lake, Captain Q, I love that, what you call them, they're going to be pursuing over the top with blockers in front. So if they can find a way to nuggie through and make a play, That's half. You got to have that inside-outside pursuit. So it's not just getting to the passer, it's redirecting, getting downhill, and getting that guy on the ground. It's all 11 versus their screen game. They're that good at it, so you need all 11 to stop it.
Final thoughts? I don't want to go. I want to keep talking this one all the way through to Thursday Night Football.
The
Anything
one we
else? What I
avoided,
miss?
the one we avoided, and we keep avoiding it. And Sean McVay keeps avoiding it. Field goals. It's still an issue. And this could come down to a field goal. This is how tight this game can be. So whatever it is, you've got to find a way to make that ball go through the uprights.
Well, two things. Cardi's a Niner killer. We know that about him.
Yes.
And two, I love the identity that Sean McVay put out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his game management, clock management, personnel, I thought that was just as good a game as I've seen from him in a long time against the Buffalo Bills. Like, the 6-point lead is the worst lead in late game situations in the National Football League. So the fact that he had no interest in going up 6 with the field goal there, that he stepped on the gas and went for 4th down against Allen and the Bills coming the other way, like that felt like progress. That felt like the right answer. Glad it paid off.
That's how you become great, man. You got to hang it all out there. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can tell when he's in his bag by the way he strolls that sideline. He's got that look in his eye. So when he's ahead of you as a play caller on the other side, a DC, you've got problems. By the time you catch up, he's already to the counters. So carry that to San Francisco, and we'll see what happens.
And from Cardi's standpoint, don't take it as an indictment or any loss of confidence. I mean, maybe that's where it started, but have you seen what Matthew Stafford is doing lately? Again, let's keep the keys in the Hall of Fame quarterback's hands and take our chances as opposed to rolling the dice, maybe in the rain on the road with a rookie place kicker.
Amen. Yeah, bro. Yeah, like I said, my favorite stat, 0. No sacks. Keep that guy up. You got stuff. Yeah.
That was fun, and I know there's even better to come. Thank you, Stu, even though we're not really friends.
Talk
right
trash, man. Get him. Look at you. Look at that. That's that Indiana stare right
Not
there.
talking, remember?
That's a quiet confidence. That actually makes me nervous that Stu's got something up his sleeve for South Bend. DeMarco, good to be with you as
Good
always,
stuff.
buddy.
Always, man.
All right, for these two and all the people who make this show possible, thank you for joining us for a special Tuesday edition leading into Thursday Night Football of Between the Horns, still presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers.